Okay, so since you are the ones who survived to the last session, I promise not to bore you. I'm Omayma Said. I come from Egypt, and I work at Wazzaf, which is an online recruitment platform. And Wazzaf in Egypt, or in Arabic, means hire. So we have recruitment services and other professional career services. But before telling you more about what I do, let me take you back to the 19th century where something happened that is affecting us till now. At this time, the Belgian scientist Adolf Quetelet came up with the concept of the average man. And he was interested in quantifying everything about the life of humans or different aspects about humans. So he came up with something like the body mass index, where he could describe the average weight or height for humans. And he looked at other aspects like social behavior and moral behavior. But what is the average man? For him, it was, unlike the current notion, it meant perfection. As he said that if any individual at any given epoch of society possessed all the qualities of the average man, he would represent all that is great, good, or beautiful. But who is the average man in your society? And are you just a deviant from the average man? Many people disagree, including me, because this is just an abstraction of all humans. And because I deal with a lot of data of humans, I'm concerned with this. But however, now we can see with the tremendous growth of data, misuse of summary statistics. So we can see someone sharing a tweet like this saying that the average millennial spends 96 billion on food, which doesn't make sense because if you dig deeper into the article itself, you can see that they were talking about something else, and you definitely don't spend all that. So they found it just like good to use numbers and stuff like that in their articles. And you could also find policymakers using the average, trying to push some policies. So you can find someone saying that the average American family would get a raise under a certain bill of tax cut. And they would ask people, how would they respond to this? And how would they act upon this? And luckily, there are people who have good solutions, like hiring a statistics tutor to look between the distinction between the mean and the median. But I thought that I'm the only one who is suffering from this problem till I saw Joel Gross writing that there comes a time in every data scientist's career when management asks you to take an average of averages, and that's when you find out what you're really made of. So it happens every day, and we see it. And we have two options, whether to surrender to this culture or try to show other options. So back to my work at Wazzaf, as I said, we do matching between jobs and job seekers. And we have like a two-sided marketplace where we need to optimize for different things. Because people apply for jobs, they explore them, they try to apply for what fits them, and they have also public profiles. So what we optimize for while matching them is quality, quantity, and relevance. So looking at the high-level metrics only wouldn't help us do that. We need to dig deeper to provide good quality applications for the employers with good quantity or enough quantity that they can browse and with relevant skills, and the other way around from the employer side. But when we talk about data and KPIs and metrics, I usually find different stakeholders coming and saying general statements using the average, something like the average job seeker applies for N jobs per month. And my impression would be that something like this. Or someone would come and say, the average number of applications per job this month is great. And I wouldn't share the enthusiasm that much. Because I have more questions, like what average do you measure? And who is the average job seeker you're talking about? And most importantly, can we tell better stories about our users? Because our users have different personas. They have different aspirations, set of values, or things they are looking for. And whether employers or job seekers. And it's like a human experience where people go through with hope and shattered hopes and everything through the whole process. So we need to understand all the underlying features of our users and their behaviors also. And know these feelings. And hopefully they won't get all their hopes and dreams just shattered while applying for jobs. But I see that we can tell better stories with two things: contextual understanding and effective data analysis. And I mean by contextual understanding the culture in the market, the socioeconomic status we are operating in, because we are focused in Egypt, we work with other markets, but we optimize for users and markets in different local locations. We cannot just import different services to all the locations. And also the market dynamics and how our users interact, our competitors, and all that. And the effective data analysis is about the mindset of approaching the details and switching between the details as well as the big pictures. And also having a good workflow and frameworks and tools to empower us. And regarding having both points, the contextual understanding and the effective data analysis, we can have better stories. We can look at more details about our users and about our business. And with this, we can have actionable insights, which is most important to the business to trigger actions on different teams. And regarding the frameworks or tools, I see the Tidyverse as a very good framework where one can operate within with all the other compatible packages. And I would focus on three main concepts I use in my daily work and I found very useful. The first is tidy data, and it's now well known for most of the people. However, we can always remind ourselves how it's powerful when we deal with data coming from different sources. Because we have one data structure with one variable in a column and one observation in a row. And here, Tibble, TidyR, and dplyr are very helpful in this context. And for me, in my context, I have data about our users coming from different sources, whether it's an Excel sheet, Google Analytics, something about the recommendations we send them, or a database. So data comes for me from different sources and in different formats. And all these can be transformed to a data frame, merged together, and we can work upon. So for example, if we have data about our applicants and applications, we can have one row per application for each user. And we can operate on this. The second concept is nested data. And with this, we can have one row per group instead of one row per observation. And TidyR here is very helpful, where I can find nest and unnest functions in specific, very beneficial. Because here, for example, if we have all the applications previously in one table, we can have one row per each user. So we can gather all the applications in one cell, and we can have everything in the one data frame. And similarly for the job. So we can switch even between two views. I can group by the applicant name or the ID and look at their details, or group by the job and look at the details. And the third concept is functional programming, where we handle iteration problems powerfully and emphasize the actions rather than the objects. And here, per is very useful in this context. So for example, we can store models in the same data frame. For instance, we can ask a question like, what is the probability of the job seeker to be viewed or the application to be viewed given the application day? And we can have these data in the same data frame. Or we can iterate and answer more questions like, what is the intersection between the applications by this user and the preferences he has in his profile? So all these tables or data frames can be in the same place, and we can have the results added in the same place also. And as like Jenny Bryan says, what's in the data frame stays in the data frame, and this is about data rectangling, or having everything in one place intact where we can operate on, see the summaries beside the details. So let's look closer to one of the cases we had, and all these concepts were very helpful in. We had a problem that we could see overall growth and good KPIs on the higher level. However, we could see shortage in applications for certain software development jobs. The problem resulted in dissatisfied employers, and it was flagged by different sources, internal and external. It was also masked by high-level metrics. So at this time, there are different hypotheses, and we need to go in more investigation. So we had 3 hypotheses based on our contextual understanding of our market and what happens. The first was about the talent shortage. So we said, what if we just have a small pool of job seekers who are interested in the affected jobs? So it would be an acquisition problem regarding a certain segment. And the second hypothesis was about irrelevant jobs. We said, maybe employers are not catching up with the global trends or job seekers' aspirations. Maybe we know the gap talent and the problems in the software development, especially for seniors. So maybe the companies, especially in our country, we knew that we had inflation and high devaluation 1 year ago. So we knew that many companies couldn't catch up with this. So we had some hypotheses about the job descriptions or the offers from the companies. Maybe the problem is not acquisition for the talent, it's more awareness on the company side. And the third problem was about engineering problems, about hidden jobs. We said, what if some jobs do not get enough exposure in the search and recommendation pages? Maybe there is a problem and some jobs do not appear to the users. And we started to look and switch between 2 views, the job side and the job seeker side. So on the job side, we could have the details of the applications per each job, and also the summary, like the application count. So we could have everything in one place and make further investigations. And we could see that some of the lower job applications were on the iOS jobs, iOS developer jobs. So we looked at them in specific, and we could take a sample like this and looked at the applications over the lifetime of a job, which is typically 60 days on our websites. And we saw that some were growing, some were saturating early, and some were not getting that good applications. And for us, we had also several hypotheses, so we tried to ask more questions, like what happens to job posts on a certain day, like the 7th day, when we send recommendation mails to the users or we take a certain action. So we knew that there are some checkpoints where we wanted to check about the jobs. Then we said, let's see the jobs that exceeded a certain threshold. And we found out that some of them were more generic, asking for iOS or Android development skills. So we started to pinpoint some issues here and look at the rest with the details we have. And for this, we could also have like a prototype for a Shiny application where we could switch between more job categories or keywords to look at the jobs which are affected. And then we also looked at the job seeker side. So we could, for example, use tidy text, which is also fitting well in the tidyverse philosophy, to extract the words from the job seekers' profiles, which we use to recommend jobs to them. So for each user, we could see the frequency of the keywords they use, and each as a summary and details as well. And we could also, as we index all our job seekers and jobs info in Solar, we had also a good interface from Solarium, which is developed by our OpenSci, to get more info about each job seeker and what jobs that get recommended to them. So we can get the details and the count of the jobs and the count of the details, the keywords and everything. And what action did this analysis trigger? Because it was not just, this was a glimpse of what we could do or look at, but it mainly gave up more insight about the three hypotheses. So for the first hypothesis about the talent shortage, we discovered that in some jobs, we really need to acquire more job seekers. So these were like recommendations to the marketing and other teams for the product, and also to activate the existing developers, in addition to support the community and have more boot camps and courses to nurture that talent in the market. And for the irrelevant jobs hypothesis, we said we maybe need to advise employers about the market. Maybe we need to tell them what job descriptions attract the job seekers, what they should write, etc. And also to revisit the preference-based matching and see how we use the keywords in our recommendation. And the third was about the hidden jobs. And we found really that there were some issues with our indexing, like slight stuff about the tokenizers we use, the stemmers we use, and all these issues. So we worked with the engineering team to fix these issues, to give exposure to the jobs that were not appearing to the users who searched for these terms. And also to revisit the weights of each field we use in our recommendation. And also improve the main recommendation. So these are the three main concepts and the mindset I try to follow, whether in this problem or in every other problem. So instead of looking at our users as new entries coming to a database, new rows or new columns, we look at them like humans who have different aspirations, who have different traits, who have different personas, and we can switch between the big picture and the details without just sticking or surrendering to the average culture. Thank you.
Well-deserved applause. Looking at the audience for questions, this is the right time to ask them. Yeah, sorry.
So if you nest all these objects, how well does it perform in querying? I'm not very familiar with nesting myself.
At this time when you investigate, if you have a really, really big data set, it might be slow. But however, if you don't really care about the fractions of seconds or a few minutes, it would be a good solution to have everything in one place, nest your data, and switch between the details as well as the summaries. And also it helps you keep the results of your models in the same place. So you can have multi-models. You can use Broom also to extract summaries from the models you have, instead of going to different data frames.
Thank you. I'm super short, so if you are not waving, I won't see you. Okay, thank you very much.